We've got Matt Ater joining us from Vispero. Matt, good to have you back on Double Tap.
Well, it's a good day to you guys as well. It's looking forward to seeing how you guys are doing.
Yeah, listen, it's great to catch up. It was nice to see you at CSUN. And of course, what better day to meet up than Global Accessibility Awareness Day? And you've already been doing a couple of events. You're over in London, England, right?
Ooh. I am. It was fun. Tuesday night was a lot of fun. We went to... I went over to the London Web Standards meeting. I know that sounds really fun, technical stuff.
Wow.
Where people talk about WCAG and stuff like that. But, got to see a lot of people very passionate about accessibility. Did you just pretend to snore?
Steven Scott. Distance yourself, Matt.
On all the days of the year. Yeah, I know.
But seriously, it just to see the passion about people who want this stuff to be accessible is just great. So enjoyed that, and then yesterday an event with Disability In hosted by Microsoft across the street from Buckingham Palace. It was a really cool venue. Ooh. And we were a sponsor along with Accessibility Mojo. I got that right, and very exciting. It was a lot of fun. We got to see a lot of people passionate about accessibility, talking about Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Microsoft had some great presentations on some things that are launching today. So I'll let them do their launch. But it was really fun. We had a awesome presentation with a company called Adyen out of the Netherlands, and as part of their goals for inclusion. And the European Accessibility Act, they are launching accessible payment devices worldwide. So we're very excited about that because it'll launch with the JAWS for Kiosk software in the device so that a blind person could make a payment and know what they're paying.
Hang on. You almost buried the lead here. That's huge. So those chip and pin terminals that they bring to you after you've eaten in a restaurant that usually are totally inaccessible, and you got to rely on the waiter person to say, yes, do you want to give a tip? And you got that embarrassing moment where you say no, a 0 tip. That's what we do over here in the UK anyway.
Sean barely pays for the meal, never mind the tip.
Or your credit, or because it's over a certain limit, you have to put in your pen as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, not just contactless. So JAWS for Kiosk, which we've been talking about for a while now, that's launching worldwide. That's the thing I want to make clear. It's not just Europe here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll start in Europe, but it is a worldwide product, supported in all the languages that they need. And it's cool because there's three different ways to get audio. You can use depending on the device, you could use a 3.5 millimeter jack headphones. You could use a USB-C headphones. And I know Sean's wearing some around his neck for his Apple device. And then of course the white ones, right? Because you got to have them in the blind uniform.
You got the blind uniform on.
Yep.
And then you could just use a speaker on the device. And what's good is that when you plug in the headphones, it'll start it. If the server hands you the device to pay and you don't have headphones, they can initiate audio on the device manually. And then if that's, say, in the front of the counter and the server's behind the counter, they can initiate it from their device on the other side of the counter. So there's 3 different methods for starting the audio, which I think is fascinating, and we're really excited to see this partnership with Adyen take off.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, let me understand this. There are, I guess, different makers of these payment terminals, right? So,
I'd love to say that I have them all, but so far, we've done it with Stripe in Canada, and they're launching around the world as well. But right now, mostly Canada, and then Adyen will be worldwide. But I think their first launch is across Europe.
So it does depend on the company or shop or store or whatever it might be buying that particular device at the moment. I mean, obviously, there's hope that this would roll out to more, but anyone who uses this particular terminal.
Yeah, well, they usually, it would, in most cases, if it's a chain, they're going to buy a contract with a specific payment device company, right? And a lot of them, it's not only the device, but also the back end processing and things like that. So they do a partnership with a company is what they're doing.
But the thing, I mean, relaying it back to today, right, is making those companies that we're dealing with, those restaurants or those shops or whatever it may be, aware that there is an option out there, an accessible option, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these companies won't have a clue. They will just say, well, this is how it is. How would a blind person use this anyway? But we can make them aware that actually we can use this. There is an accessible option out there that you need to be, well, aware of, right?
Yeah, and when you're at a restaurant or a store, retail place, and you come across, inaccessible technology, just like we do, if you hit a website or a mobile app, as individuals who are blind, we should all reach out to the manufacturer and say something about it. Same thing here is you could say to the manager of the business, hey, this would be great if you would go get the accessible version. I can't use this. And the other day I was at a restaurant down the street here in Maida Vale, and they had handed me one of the devices that weren't accessible, and I said, well, how do I know what the price is? And they didn't know how to answer that.
No, true.
And I'm like, so can I put a tip on it? He goes, no, the service charge is already there. Well, thank you for telling me that, because you know what, some people may not, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm excited about this.
That's great. That's brilliant news. That's incredible news.
What was that company name again? Sorry, Matt.
Adyen, Adyen, and they're based in Amsterdam. Yep.
Perfect.
Wonderful. And now, look, it's a big year for you as well at Vispero, of course. JAWS celebrating 30 years, and that's something you've been talking about quite a lot this week as well, right?
Yeah. It was actually a lot of fun because I was wearing my badge from CSUN, the one with the shape of a floppy disk, which I think I gave you guys at CSUN.
I've got mine.
It says 30 JAWS 30th anniversary, and everybody loved my floppy disk on my chest too. But the fun part is just sharing the stage with Microsoft yesterday, and they're hitting 50 years, we're hitting 30 years, and about accessibility. Their journey started with making sure that we could put JAWS on Windows. And there's a lot of things that Microsoft has to do to support assistive technology on devices. So I'm very proud of the partnership with them, and the 30 years that we've had is due to them as well to be able to support assistive technology on Windows. And so I'm very happy with that time that we got to see them yesterday.
30 years of JAWS, 50 years of Microsoft, 20 years of VoiceOver appearing on the Mac. We're all getting old.
Just don't add them all up. Then we're dead. Just to be clear. So just...
It's so great, though. I mean, and the thing that a lot of people talk about when it comes to Global Accessibility Awareness Day is, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years now, it's felt like an opportunity for companies to almost fly the flag and say, hey, we're all about accessibility over here. And then, the other 364 days of the year, absolutely nothing. And you think, okay, or maybe it's in an accessible app, or maybe it's in an accessible web front, or whatever it might be. And it's great to hear that there are some stories coming out. Of course, Apple launching a host of new features. Microsoft will be talking about theirs, I'm sure. Google will talk about the accessibility work they're doing. The tech companies really are behind accessibility. It's clear, right, that they really do put the effort in. Yeah,
and I mean, Amazon celebrates it the entire month. So, I give them a lot of credit for taking that on. Yesterday, Google talked about some techniques that are coming out in the Chrome browser that they can detect head movement if you enable this inside your app, so that somebody with a physical disability could actually move things around the screen just using head movement. This kind of stuff is just hugely valuable to the disability community, not just the blind community, that we have this kind of innovation out there. AI is going to change the landscape. I know. I just dropped that in for the first time today. But the talk is AI an accessibility tool at some point. And there are components of it that just huge value for all of us.
Talking of AI, I'm thinking to the Next Big Thing competition, which the winner obviously had the whole using AI to interact with apps.
Come on, name him.
Our friend Robin Christopherson came up with that idea as well. Also borrowed heavily from the VOCR team. So he does give credit for that as well. How are we doing with that and seeing that implemented?
So I know they're working on it. I don't know everything they're doing in the development team. They try to keep me away from sharp knives, because then I start telling everybody about things. I do know that we have a new release. I want to say it was yesterday, but it could be today. But it's a soft launch, and if you go to the options menu in JAWS and go down to early adopter program, you can enable something called the AI labeler. And this allows you to press Insert G on any unlabeled item on a web page or in an application, and it's going to use AI Picture Smart to go figure out a label and give it a label.
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty cool. That feature, as you say, I saw that just last night actually drop, which is wonderful. Again, just using AI in smart ways. That's what you guys seem to be doing to try and find ways to make it useful, right? Because we kind of sometimes get these woolly ideas around how to use it, and summarize documents or create a bullet list or create a to-do. These are the kind of standard fare things that you hear about in the mainstream, but there are real benefits to using AI for description. And if you can build that into something like, describe this element on the screen or tell me what this element is, and use AI to figure it out, that can be really useful. We still, as I was saying just the other week, trying to install some printer software, and it's just button. That's all you're getting, right? And this is where Picture Smart can come in. AI Labeler could do the same.
Yeah, and I talked about it last night. I did a webinar on the 30th anniversary with Jennison, and for celebrating GAAD and JAWS, and we talked about some of the innovations over the last 30 years. We picked off the list. We didn't do all 30 years, but I did talk about the kind of future and how does AI help us. And there's obviously a lot of concerns about AI and worries about how AI can affect us in a negative way, but there are a lot of positive ways as well. And we just have to partner with the right companies, whether it's OpenAI, Claude, or which is Anthropic,
Gemini,
or
Copilot,
Gemini, or any of these, Copilot, any of these. We have to just make sure that we're working well with those companies and organizations and products, because we should be tapping into their models and using them. And that's like FS Companion is a good example of that. Is like we had all the content, we just needed a way for somebody to quickly get what they wanted rather than just Googling it. And so it just makes it easier.
And sorry, I'm conscious of time, and I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to talk about my other favorite nightclub, not the WCAG Guidelines Club that you were at the other day, but the Insert J Club. How's that going,
yeah.
Stephen? I know
it's booming, and
the guideline people are not happy.
Yeah, clearly. WCAG is not a 4-letter word, just to let you know. Okay, so
isn't it?
But so the Insert J Club's doing great, and I think the customers love it. In fact, when we were doing the webinar and prepping for the webinar, I posted the event on Facebook group, the JAWS Facebook group, and they're like, "Well, why didn't I hear about the Insert J Club?" Clearly, we're not communicating well internally that we were doing all these things, so we had to fix that. But yeah, I mean, the Insert J Club's great, and I think people really like it because they know what's coming. They get to try things out early, and that's why there's these soft launches, and then the more public launches of things as well.
Well, it gives you feedback, doesn't it? That's the key. Is getting the feedback to products, to new ideas, to new things to try before they're released on the wider public. That is so valuable to do. Listen, Matt, it is great catching up with you today. Safe trip back home. When are you heading back?
Oh, I have Amsterdam tomorrow, and the weekend, and then off to Frankfurt for Site City.
Site City, of course, yeah.
And another disability event in Frankfurt, hosted by Bloomberg. So we'll be talking with Amazon next week about global accessibility awareness, as well as the European Accessibility Act. We'll be doing that on stage at Bloomberg next week as one of the disability events.
Yeah,
disability event.
That's going to be a big topic in June for sure. Listen, thanks so much for coming on, Matt. Take care and come back soon.
Appreciate you guys.